Well, hello everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. It's Embrace Live, 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. We do this each Wednesday. We're actually fresh from a 2-week break. I've been on my jollies with the family and friends and so on. We had a lovely time in the Isle of Wight. That's as far as we dared venture abroad this year, but there we go. So welcome to, let's see some people tuning in. Alan, Tony, Margaret, as always. Margaret's with us every week, which is brilliant. Thanks for tuning in. So if you haven't already, please leave us a message and a comment. Just tell us where you're tuning in from. So my name is Dave Dixon. I have the privilege of being part of Embrace Church in Darlington. I serve on the team there, and lots of wonderful people, but we've been doing this Embrace Live now for I think it's about 12 weeks. I'll have to go back and just count them up. So if you haven't caught any of the previous episodes, they're all available via the Facebook page, our Embrace Church Facebook page, or the Embrace Church YouTube channel. And you can I'll put those on screen a little bit later on. But, if you haven't already tuned into some of those episodes are really well worth, if you get a bit of spare time, going through them and having a look. We started off with kind of a general series about finding out people's my stories, really, which is about how they became a Christian, how they became, to the point in their lives where they made a decision to follow Jesus. And really interesting to find out, a range of experiences and backgrounds and reasons why people made that absolutely amazing decision to, follow Jesus themselves and have that ongoing personal relationship with our amazing Heavenly Father. All right. So well worth checking out. We then did a series just before the holiday break with different worship leaders. So, I have the privilege of being involved in leading worship, which in church terms, I know we get into a bit of churchy speak every now and again. I appreciate that not everybody might be doing the church thing. So, leading worship often means, it's much more worship, but, often means in a church setting, doing the music. So I've had privilege of being involved in leading worship in, music kind of terms and things like that for many years. And so that was a great mini series of just chatting with different people from different churches. This is not all about Embrace Church Darlington, because actually the reality is, and I like to say this point each time we have an episode, there's only one church, all right? And that's the church with a capital C, God's church. There's just many different flavours of that. And again, it's great to be able to connect and find out a little bit more backgrounds and how different churches are impacting their communities and what they're doing, their values and things. As long as it's Bible based, because that's the truth, then that's, it's great to have different flavors that suit different people. All right, so if you might not be from Embrace Church, if you're not, then it's great to have you with us. You might not even do the church thing at all. Like I say, you might be just kind of flicking through Facebook, YouTube, and stumble across. So if you want to know more about the church thing, if you want to get in touch, that'd be amazing. Leave us a comment, leave us a direct message if you want to. We'd love to connect with you, love to chat with you. We won't bash the Bible over your head, but we'd love to be able to chat more with you. So we do want you to be interactive. These sessions are always interactive, so I can see Sue's joined us online. Great. Thanks for joining us, Sue. We do want them to be interactive, so we do want you, to kind of make comments and question throughout these kind of sessions. So this is the first of another series, and I'm really excited about this actually, because I've got lined up a range of people, leaders we're calling this. It's a leader series, a range of people from lots of different Christian-based events, organisations, charities across the area, northeast and beyond, lined up to tell us and more about their organisation that they help lead, what's it all about, what impact's it having, what's the history of that, what are they aiming to achieve, why they do what they do, and opportunities for people to find out how they can get involved in different ways and contact them to find out more and so on. And I'm really excited that we're kicking off this series tonight with the wonderful Ray Ezra. Ray, I'm just going to cut across to you because she's here on my other monitor waiting. I think she looks like she's ready and waiting to take our order. There she is, the wonderful Ray Ezra. And we're going to be talking about all things Kairos tonight. Now, Kairos is an interesting word. We'll get into that a little bit more. So in a moment, Ray, we'll come back to you, and, I can see that you're ready and primed and ready to go. Are you happy? Are you smiling?
I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Brilliant. So we will be going into, a series about leaders and so on. So, like I say, lots of different organisations, lots of different charities, lots of brilliant people doing brilliant things, and we want to find out what they're doing and what's motivating them. All right, so like I said, we want to make it interactive, so please feel free to comment and question as we go through. And I'm just going to start this off with the little leaders intro video, and then we're going to get into chatting more with Ray and find out all about Kairos Camp. Here we go. Hi, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff. So thank you ever so much for giving up your, kind of next hour or so to be involved in this live stream. I'm just looking down here. Let me explain. I've got my secondary monitor on my left. I've explained that one to you already, but just let everybody know. On my right is my living room door, closed, although it's glass and I can see through it. And I've got my naughty puppy, who's 5 months old, who likes to bark and anything, and this is a normal route for her to get out into the back garden. So, we've got all other alternatives, but just to let you know, if you hear strange things or if I'm looking down, I am listening to you. It's just I'm trying to kind of keep her occupied as well. The rest of the family are in the living room trying to keep her under control, but we'll see what happens. So, Ray, it's great to have you, like you say, on. And do you know what I was thinking? I was trying to figure out how long I've known you for. Now, people might be able to tell that I'm slightly older than you, just a little bit. And I was thinking about obviously in the lead up to this show, and I was thinking, how long have I, and the age thing, I don't actually know how long it's been, but you've just always seemed to be around, not like in a stalker kind of way, not like in a restraining order kind of stuff, but we've been involved in so many different things over the years, and I'm honestly convinced that literally you were born and then you started church stuff straight away, in a matter of months. I think so you're kind of involved in different teams and things like that. So really it'd be great to first of all, help me out. Do you have any idea how long it's been that we know each other, or am I the...
Well, I kind of remember doing stuff with the Tab when they had the old building. Was it called Lighthouse or something? The Sunday evening youth stuff.
Oh, I can't remember.
Was it something else?
I celebrate.
It was like before Kairos days.
I celebrate a big birthday. I'll let you know that I celebrate a big birthday in September. It's got a 0 in it, so people can guess on that one. So I can't quite remember.
I also celebrate a big birthday this year.
Oh, right.
With a 0 on it.
I bet mine's bigger than yours, but
yeah. Same one.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm thinking probably I started going to that maybe around the age of 11, 12. So yeah, probably in your later teenage years, I started kicking about on your scene. But yeah, no, I also feel that I came out of the womb doing youth work and various of the church work.
Yeah. So, maybe people can comment and just, say hello to you and one of you, just so I can put a few people on. Just want to say, again, just add a few of these. Margaret's a great supporter of the show. She's always a regular viewer. So, please feel free. Oh, and it's great. Sue from, Embrace Church has Bill, who's another legend. Bill is a legend with Sue, and Sue's great. Kind of looking after him, and things. Bill's getting, shall we say, on, maybe has maybe a higher zero than even me. But Sue does great things in there, to kind of care for him as well. But it's brilliant to have people join us. Maybe you can post some comments and show the love already to Ray, just to make her feel welcome and things like that. But I tell you what, why, as a bit of an introduction, why don't you tell tell people who you are, a bit of your, who are you? Obviously you've established that we've known each other for a long time, but who are you? Are you Christian? Have you got family? All of that kind of stuff. Let's make it brief, because we do want to talk about obviously Kairos and things like that. So who are you? Go on.
Yeah. So like Dave said, I'm Ray Ezra. I'm a mum and a wife. We've got 3 girls. One's come to us through adoption, so we've been foster carers as well, which is something else we have in common, and it's been a joy for us. And we like to call it brutally beautiful, our journey of foster and adoption, because it's not only beautiful, but it's brutal as well. I also work for a Christian organisation called Home for Good, which is in fostering and adoption, which I absolutely love. But yeah, I come from a Christian family. My parents are Christians, and my dad was a minister for a lot of my upbringing, and has retired in the last 8 or 9 years, something like that, if you can call it retirement, if you know my dad.
Yep.
But yeah, my favourite colour is pink, as you can probably tell. So my background really has been youth work. My Christian story has always been that when I've got frustrated with anything, it's been God's way of saying, well, get yourself stuck in and do something about it.
Yeah.
So at the age of around 14, having been very disheartened and irritated and frustrated and not having youth work in our own church, really, I gathered a group of friends and we set up a youth group that ran on the estate that we were part of. And within kind of a year, we had up to 150 young people piling in off the estate every night, every weekend. And so I became the youth worker there, did training with the local council, and worked for the local authorities as an outreach youth worker, and was the church youth worker for 17 years, which makes me feel really old. And I finished that about probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and then moved into other church stuff, and then started with Home for Good 3 years ago. So it's kind of been an interesting journey, really. I still have a real love for young people, and which some people find really weird, but put me in a room of young children and I couldn't cope with that. So I'm quite happy with young people. It's where I guess I feel gifted in, really, and particularly the rough, difficult ones are the ones that really make me thrive. And I feel like I'm probably doing where I should be, really. So
Brilliant. Okay, so before we go any further, we've got lots of people, saying hello. So I just put a few of these on the screen. Anthony's saying hello. Hi, Anthony. We've got Alan as well. Alan is lead pastor at Embrace Church. His wife Tony as well is also, showing the love as well. Nice to meet you. And Tony's actually, you mentioned the hair. She's a big fan. There we go. Love the hair. Funny enough, Tony never says that about my hair. I don't know why that is, but I don't know. Follically challenged. Let me just say again, this is by choice. My hairline is receding a little, but not too much. I need to tame the ginger fro. It's actually more ginger and white these days, to be honest. Like I say, big birthday coming up soon. All right. So I've known you, and we've talked about this for many, many years. You came out of the womb, then started doing youth work when you were about 6 months old. And we've crossed paths many years ago over many different organisations and things. Actually, I'm going to interrupt myself just to say that Tony's shown me a bit of love on there as well. So, that's thanks for Tony. I appreciate that in terms of the hairstyle. I'm just a fashion guru, style guru, trendsetter. I do know your parents. Your parents are amazing people. I enjoy seeing them regularly at different events and things like that. And I know that they have been supporters of many of the events and stuff that I've also been involved with as well. And, you know, they are totally wise people, and I have so much respect for them in lots of different ways. And so I'm really grateful. And You mentioned then your kind of intro that you were kind of the kind of person that who, if they get frustrated and sees a need or, you know, not happy, then you do it, you know. And I've always known you as a person who, you know, definitely walks the walk. And, you know, to be honest, it's easy, isn't it? You know, to sit back. And I've done this, you know, and sit back sometimes when we do the church thing. And, you know, the problem with church is that is, you know, we know they've got people in it, so they're not perfect. And you know, many times people can get frustrated when things are certain ways in church, you know, and that's, you know, that's not a criticism. It's just, you know, churches are great. They're different flavours to do some things really well, some things not so well for various different reasons why. And, you know, if we ever find a perfect church, we're not going to go, are we? Because we're going to spoil it if we go, because there's no such thing as a perfect church. And but I do love people like you, and you and I think have connected, you know, in lots of different ways, you know, and been, you know, friends and valued friends for many years because we have very similar outlooks, I think, and very similar values, and you know, it's great, and I'm really honoured. Honestly, I'm not just piling on the praise. I value our friendship.
No, thank you.
I value our friendship, and you know, you're a person that I have a lot of respect for because you're a very wise person. I think you inherited that from your parents, definitely. But I love people who don't just talk it, and you know, they walk it. And you know, to see you on your journey is inspiring, and how you've grown, and how you've made such a big difference in lots of young people's lives, and the huge amount of things that you've done. And that sounds like it's past tense. It isn't. You continue to do that. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, obviously the main focus tonight, is going to be Kairos Camp, which I know that you're heavily involved with, along with a wonderful team that's, you know, kind of support you and you work closely with to put on Kairos Camp. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that. But I do want to mention as well, because you also said it about, you know, fostering and adoption, and you're heavily involved in that. You know, it's such an amazing. Yeah, I like that. Beautifully brutal.
I use it both words. Yeah,
brutally beautiful.
Brutally beautiful.
I like it. I like it. And you know, it's such. Listen, it's such I'm struggling to even put it into words. It's needed. It's vital, because there are many children and young people who need families, need placements, need love, and need, you know, all of those things. And let's not sugarcoat it. It's not easy at all. And so, you know, please, that's a little side kind of thing. If you want to find out more, Ray or myself, or, you know, many of these organisations, church-based ones or not, you know, there's kids who definitely need love and support and are in situations that are no fault of their own. And, you know, certainly Ray and her family and myself and my family, we do this, and we live this. And like anything else, you only really fully understand what it's like as an experience if you go through it. And it's really hard work, and it is beautifully brutal, brutally beautiful, but absolutely worthwhile. And, you know, so if you're interested in that, please get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to point you in direction of, you know, and give you some more information about different organisations and things like that. Okay, so let's talk about, I've mentioned it a few times, Kairos Camp. Tell us, what is it? What's Kairos mean, and what do you mean by camp? You know, what is it?
So Kairos is a Greek word which means the right and opportune moment in time. And so Kairos was born out of what used to be a camp called Harvest in the northeast, which a lot of people have heard of. It ran for many years and was in its kind of heydays, was probably hitting the 1,200 mark, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Dave, I mean, Dave was a lot more involved in it than I was. And I kind of grew up in it. And then began to slowly come onto the team in different ways, starting with ministry team and then other bits. And that kind of started to, numbers dwindled and dropped, and changes of venues and things like that happened. And one year, sadly, it was cancelled due to really a lack of booking, and the shortfall it was going to be. And so a group of us were kind of really devastated by this, really. And so the following year, it was felt that they wouldn't do anything either. And we kind of just felt as a group of some of us that we just couldn't let that kind of happen for 2 years running for a lot of young people. And so we ran at the time as a kind of one-off Kairos camp, which was, again, fitted the right and opportune moment in time, which felt that we were doing it for that season, while we kind of reimagined what harvest might look like.
Yeah.
And we kind of went on a bit of a journey with the harvest team and what was the team kind of pulling harvest together that year. And it was a really successful summer. I mean, the numbers were relatively low. And so at that point, a number of people off the harvest group decided that it was time for them to step down, and a few more people stepped up. And so we decided to take on the charity of harvest, but to rename and rebrand as Kairos, meaning the right and opportune moment in time. And we felt that fitted for various reasons. I guess the main one being that for so many teenagers, when they connect with God, there's one particular time, or a couple of particular times in their year where they connect with God, and that was the right and opportune moment in time. And for many young people, that has been something like a Christian youth camp or a Christian event. And so we were kind of declaring really that we want this summer camp to be that time that they really connect with God in a way that will then hopefully sustain them through the rest of the year. And so I guess really that's how it came about. And so that was back in 2013. And so I was just doing the math today, realising that this year is our 9th year of running Kairos, which is mental, really, because last year we did Couch Kairos. So we did it, people registered and they got a box delivered to the house with lots of random objects in. And we did 48, well, it's probably a bit longer than 48 hours. It was from Friday to Monday. We did online videos that went out right throughout the weekend. We did Zoom calls on the evening. And there was lots of things in their boxes that connected with each of the sessions. So there was art stuff going on. There was talks going on. There was worship going on. This year, we're doing a very similar thing. In fact, I've got my many minions working on putting the boxes together right now as we speak. So thank you for getting me out of doing that one. But yeah, this year we've stripped it right back, mainly because people are fed up of online stuff to the same degree, particularly young people, and the fact that people are actually allowed to go out and about this year. So we've stripped it right back. And this year we're just doing 4 key devotionals that actually young people have done themselves. And they're still getting a box, they're getting a t-shirt, they're getting different bits in it that link to that, to those 4 sessions. But just to try and keep it running again, and keeping it, for those young people that see Kairos as something of part of their summer, that they're still being connected and getting connected into God's word. And this year's theme is love, so it's very much about God loving them and what God's love calls of costs of us as well. So yeah, we're really kind of like blown away that we're on year 9 of this, and it's still got legs. And we kind of said to God, for as long as this is needed, we'll do it. And so here we are.
Amazing. So I mean, obviously you've said a lot there in terms of the journey. So you've told us that Kairos is a camp, a fest, kind of like we'll find out a little bit, over the bank holiday weekend in August. So it's a summer camp. And you mentioned obviously that came out of, it was the next kind of step really, for the previous event, which was Harvest, and like you say, many yourself and I and many others had the privilege of being involved in lots of different ways, and it's still, an absolute honour, and it's amazing. And again, when we did the first series of these, when people talking about their story, just how much Harvest, and I'm sure Kairos features in their stories about how they came to make a decision to follow Jesus themselves. Obviously, what's clear is your passion for young people. And it's amazing that Kairos has taken that on the next kind of level, the next step. Because you talked about Harvest in its heyday having 1,200 campers and many more day visitors, and it was great. And but like anything else, God works in seasons, and so being involved in the team, that kind of came to that decision at the time, which was a tough one, but we knew it was the right one. That it was almost, Harvest needed to kind of end for something else to be reborn, or to be born, sorry. And Kairos came out of that. So I was personally, in that period, involved, and then kind of my time came to an end there, and I was overjoyed, really was, to hear that Kairos was being established, and you were taking it on, and along with other team members and things like that, was amazing. So for me, because there's such a great need, for young people, it was such a special time, an important time, a growing time for young people in lots of different ways to have that experience, really. And so, it was tough for me, because I deliberately did it for a number of years, to stay out of it, because I felt it was right to do so. I didn't want to, plus, I didn't have any kind of youth leader kind of role and things like that. And, you'd be wondering who this, mature bloke is wandering around, and why is he there, kind of stuff, even though, so, from a safeguarding point of view, although I am safe, I hope. So, but I would certainly an interested observer and a supporter from a distance, seeing, and it's great to see. And thankfully, a few years into it, it seemed that, I got the opportunity to start sneaking back in, because again, I love that environment in serving on the team in different ways, to be able to do that, so, which is an absolute honour. And so, listen, Kairos is a camp. I love the name. I think it absolutely was and is the right and opportune time. Okay. It's a camp that kind of happens over the bank holiday weekend. Normally a physical camp. It'd be good to hear a little bit more about what kind of things happen at the camp, generally. And obviously, the last couple of years, due to COVID restrictions and things that, obviously, like many things, church services, teaching for me, kids, and I totally get the reasons why, and I totally agree why. Last year was mammoth to put all of that together. It just didn't happen. And huge team effort in lots of different ways and many hours, because even though it's a summer camp, believe me, people, these things, the planning for it to take place is all year round, and there's a lot of time and energy goes into that. And so, last year was video, great, absolutely amazing, and I totally understand the reasons why. This year you've scaled it back, limited in terms of the current restrictions and the direction that's going. But I totally agree that young people are just sick of kind of online, because they've been inundated with online teaching and connecting in different ways. So I think as a team, not that you need my backing, but huge thumbs up. Being a teacher and the things like that,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely the right way to go. But it's still happening. It's not as if it's cancelled and there's a few bits. Absolutely not. It's just Kairos is taking place. Bank holiday weekend, not too far away, like you say. It's just in a different way. And so, we'll talk about how could people, young people in particular, if there's people out there who are, involved in their youth groups, or maybe just go to a church, they want to say to their youth leaders in their youth group, if they've got one, well, what are we doing about that? How do we get involved? So we'll get to that, and, how we can kind of take part, because it's not too late, is it? I'm sure it's not.
No, it's not too late, no.
Yeah, great. So tell us a bit then about, obviously you're talking about online, but when, Kairos is happening physically, where's it held? What does it look like? What's a typical kind of day look like in terms of the program and things? Just to give it, people have, who have not interacted and not experienced it, and maybe you're interested, what kind of happens then? Give us a flavour.
Yeah, so we use Hollybush Christian Fellowship, their site over in Northallerton Way, which is a brilliant site, kind of got everything. And there's a brick cafe, so we use their cafe for the weekend. So you the idea is youth groups come together. One of our biggest things is come as a group and grow as a group. So as a core team at Kairos, we see the importance of a youth group above anything else, really. You can do lots of events, but unless there's somebody really investing in the young people and accountability with them during the rest of the year, then it's just a one-off summer event, isn't it? So we want young people to come with their youth leaders and grow within their young people. So we have time in the right throughout the weekend where we encourage them to meet as a group and to kind of reflect on what's happened. So in the program, there's a session on the morning and a session on a night, which we do like a leader's guide for, so leaders can have something to do or they can do whatever they want, which is just a time to reflect on the day, check in with each other, see how they're doing, maybe pray for each other if they need that and want that. But really hoping and praying that they'll go away stronger and deeper as a Christian with their group, really. So we offer a catered option or a non-catered option. So if you go for the catered option, you get a funky little wristband, which then you can go into the cafe, which Dave knows all about.
Oh, yes.
And get your grub. And it's gone down pretty well. There's some good menu options on there.
Absolutely
Equally, we've got groups that like to cater for themselves or do a bit of both. So the cafe is still open for anybody that hasn't got a catered option. So some groups kind of do breakfast and lunch together and then come for their evening meal. Likewise, day visitors and whatever can still come and get stuff. So it's very open and kind of accessible. So we have the kind of philosophy that we want people to play hard, worship hard, and grow hard, really, in their faith with God. During the day, we have pretty much 3 different streams running, and it's head, heart, hands. So the head is the kind of spiritual side of it. The heart is the get your heart pumping and the physical side of it, and the hands is the creative, hands-on stuff. So like with the hands stuff, we've done wood burning, we've done painting, we've done paracording, which I didn't know what it was until we did it. All different kinds of stuff.
I don't know what that is. Tell me what paracording is.
So paracording is you get really high dense cord, which apparently can take your weight, and you get it, and it's 2 times your length, I think it is, 2 times your height. And then you learn to like plait it in a certain way, and then make a bracelet with it. So the idea is, if you're ever stuck out in the wilderness, you can unpick it, and you've got this bit of high dense cord. But yeah, so it's
just
like
in case of emergencies, then absolutely.
In case of emergencies, exactly. I mean, if you lost your guy rope, at camp and it was windy, you'd be sorted, wouldn't you? You'd be laughing if you didn't go at that workshop.
Love it. I'd like to test, test the weight density, kind of, that. I don't think a wristband's going to hold me, but unless it's like more of a sleeve up my arm kind of thing. But there you go. Okay, because you've already established to the viewers. Yeah, you've already established to the viewers that I'm no stranger to the catering option and the wonderful kitchen that, like you say, that is I can thoroughly recommend the catering option and the amount of food in there. And I actually say, I actually came up with something that is legendary at the Kairos camp the other year, which are Kairos shots, and I named them that. That was my idea. I'm taking all the credit for that. Kairos shots. Can you tell us what a Kairos shot is?
Well, it's the leftover Yorkshire puddings, isn't it, from Sunday dinner?
Yeah.
And then did it have nacho stuff in it?
Yeah.
I thought it did.
Some kind of hot, kind of and
Salsa
cheese,
and
salsa and cheese and
cheese.
stuff like that. And you know, we
Yeah.
as the team at the time, you know, we obviously built up a bit of a hunger, which is not unusual because I hadn't eaten for minutes, to be honest. And so we bought up the leftover. It was last night. I think I bought them all for the team. You know, so it gives all of them. You know, negotiated a price, and we did the Kairos shots. So there
Yeah,
we go.
Kairos
Bring
shots,
them
why
back.
not?
Okay, if you turn
Yeah.
up to Kairos, ask for a Kairos shot. There we go. So yes, okay. So your head, heart, hands. Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
hands?
And so, well, the hands is the creative stuff.
Yeah.
So we talk about the hands. The heart is the sports stuff. So each day there is multiple things that young people can sign up for in terms of a team. So it might be five-a-side football, or it might be I'm trying to think of some of the other things. You can tell I'm not really sporty.
You've had a climbing wall there. There was.
Yeah, we've had climbing wall. We've had it's a knockout.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a competition-y type thing every day, and then a big scale activity every day. And so not last year, the year before, we did like a big water fight, and they did I've forgotten what you call it, where you like on different capture with the flag. That was it. And rounders. We also do a legendary game of Quidditch on broomsticks, which is also like seeing 60 young people playing Quidditch on. It's quite a sight. It's not something you get to do every day.
No.
So yeah, it's just, I think a lot of the churches that interact with Kairos come from smaller youth groups, and we welcome any church that wants to come. We do have some bigger churches that come, but I think the real beauty of it is that for some churches where you're talking, maybe you've got 3 young people or 6 young people, or whether it's 60 young people, sometimes the smaller groups, to be able to gather them in a place where we're not talking thousands of young people, because for some young people to actually bring them away, for some of them, it's the first time they've been away camping without their family.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing. And we've had a lot of youth leaders that have said we took them to bigger festivals and they just didn't cope. We ended up having to take them home.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to compete with these, big festivals, because we don't need to, we don't want to, they serve a fantastic purpose. But we recognise that, the need locally for smaller young people, smaller groups to kind of gather and come together, where they don't feel like the odd church out because there's only 3 of them. They really seem to appreciate. And so we kind of gather them into, slightly bigger teams to do maybe the football or the, other sports that we do. But they really, really love just, growing and getting to know other groups, which I think is really special. But so the sports goes down really well. And even if it's just people watching them, I mean, watching people get knocked out on It's a Knockout, or on, we've had like the surfboard simulator and things like that. Watching people do that's just hilarious. So it's a lot of fun. And then our other stream is the head stream. So that would be looking at, we did a whole series, last summer online, which was about anxiety and mental health, and what does God say around kind of our mental health and anxiety. The year before, we kind of said, we did a whole stream about how can I help my friends that need help as well, because that's a huge thing for young people that are suffering with friends with, issues around self-harming and anorexia and different things. We feel that we've got a duty to help young people, to help the people around them, and to guide them closer towards God. And so throughout the day, like I said, there's these 3 different themes. So there's always one of those things that they can do. Because we realise for some young people, they just want to come and kick a football around. And we're like, you know what, that's absolutely fine if that's the level of their engagement. Or they just want to sit and do journaling or crafting or whatever. It's like, you know what, that's brilliant, because God's going to meet with them regardless of whether they're in the head session or the worship sessions or the whatever. It's about having a safe place to be around other Christians where they feel accepted and loved. And so for us, it's about memory making, and it's about just being where there's other Christians that you can kind of, it's contagious, isn't it, when you're around people that have got the joy of God in that sense. That sounds really cheesy, but it is.
No, it absolutely is, you know. And let me just, things that I know, because obviously it may well be people who are listening to this and think, oh, I'm not aware of Kairos, and this is great, this sounds fantastic, you know. And like I say, might be in the church that has a youth group that might, you know, who don't currently engage with Kairos. And so, you know, please get in touch and you know, engage in that at whatever level. I know that you'd be more than happy to chat with anybody who shows any interest, and just to kind of give them a bit more detail and answer any questions that they have. Speaking of questions, if you have a question, you know, I'm just conscious that Ray and I are just chatting like we do, and you know, but you know, nobody's kind of posting anything, which is normally a good sign, Ray, that actually people are interested. And but if you do have any questions that kind of crop up, then please post them now, or if you want a message afterwards, you know, we'll show you how to get in touch with, you know, Ray at Kairos directly. But please, you know, comment on now, and we can put them on screen and we can respond to them now if you want to do that. Listen, I know that Kairos, like Harvest, you know, we talked about the history there, but Kairos isn't just an event that pops up, you know, August bank holiday and then disappears. Like you've stressed the importance of, and I know that it works in partnership with the local church. You know, again, you've talked about the importance of youth groups. I love that you go and grow as a youth group, and I know that deliberately, because you said you want to celebrate, you know, how Kairos is different. You know, big events are fantastic and, you know, well worth going to, but Kairos is smaller. It is more intimate, and, you know, it places a great value on, you know, that time as a youth group, and deliberately builds in that time into the program, you know, within the kind of sessions. Because you've mentioned about a morning session and an evening session. We've talked a lot about the, you know, the 3 streams that happen maybe in between times, and it, you know, this sounds great. That I know I've seen it in action, but, you know, I can really, you know, certainly agree. I've seen lots of young people enjoying lots of different activities, whether it be creative, whether they are having their heads, you know, they're thinking challenged, or, you know, being physically get the heart pumping in a whole variety of fun activities or whatever. But what about those kind of morning session and an evening session? What kind of happens in those then, Ray? What you know, what happens?
Yeah, so yeah, we start the day with a prayer meeting for anyone who wants to come. And then we have the morning session, which is a bit of a kind of thought for the day and a couple of worship songs. So it's just a bit low key, but just something to kind of gather people, give us a thought for that day, have a prayer, you know, have time to pray together, and a few worship songs before we then go out for the day ahead.
Yeah.
And then after that, like I say, there's these 3 themes during the day, 3 streams, sorry, that you can choose from. And then towards the evening, we've got the main evening event, which is, I guess, kind of your typical youth kind of churchy service type thing. Apart from we play a crazy game with pigs, which isn't normal at any other event, I don't think. Which, yeah,
Classic.
it's just become...
That's classic.
Yeah, you know, pigs. Piggy Holland, really. But yeah, so yeah, within that we have the kind of, we like to again gather the youth groups, celebrate the youth groups. So there's a bit of competitiveness that goes on there with youth groups, but like to really recognise them no matter what size they are and celebrate them.
Yeah.
And then we'll have some worship time. We'll have time, we usually try and focus a different prayer thing each evening, looking at kind of ourselves, the broader church, the broader UK, and then the rest of the world, so that we're not just staying insular, really. And then we have someone that will come and speak with us. We like to try and use local speakers, again, because I think there can be a big thing about getting kind of big Christian speakers from across the country that we parachute in for one night. Yeah. And yes, they can be brilliant and whatever, but sometimes we, you know, the aspirations of some of our young people is actually, you know, they want to hear our accents, they want to hear local terms, they want to, or else it's just too far off for them. And so, you know, occasionally we do have bigger speakers, but generally they're people that have got roots to the northeast, or have got a real heart for Kairos.
Yeah.
And so we're not into getting big names, partly because we can't afford them either, but no, mainly because we want them to get the heart of Harvest. And so quite often we want speakers that will come and stay the whole weekend. Again, not just bringing people in for one night, because we want them to feel what God's doing. We want them to kind of be part of who we are. We think it's important that a young person can see a speaker up on stage one night, or a band member, and the next night they're playing football with them, or they're dancing in the after hours with them, so that there's no kind of like power struggle going on or anything. And so we have the evening event, and at the end we always want to give time for prayer and ministry in that sense. And for some people, they're done, they've kind of had their evening event and off they trot, that's absolutely fine. Others we find, really want to open up to God in a deeper way, or to their youth leaders, or whatever it might be. And so again, we really encourage their youth leaders to be ministering with them at that time. We do have a ministry team, but it's pretty much made up of the youth workers as well, and the Kairos team. And we want to always be pointing back to their youth group and their youth leaders, and accountability with their friends and their leaders. And so then after our evening meeting, we have after hours. And again, we often have a few different choices for this. We've done some question and answer sessions, which we've found really helpful for some of those that are just thinkers and conversationalists that want to kind of go a bit deeper into maybe what we've talked about that day. Then we've got those that just want to party the night away, and so we've done silent discourse and talent nights and things like that. We've done a few quiz nights, and then we always have the cafe, which is a hangout kind of zone. And I think the year before last, we've got a new venue there called the Cowshed, and so they were doing karaoke and different things in there. So yeah, it depends who we can attract to kind of serve on the team and what gifts we can bring. But really, we just want to have fun and let our hair down. I'm not one that likes loud music and parties. And I think we've realised, in youth work, we've got to realise not every young person's the same. So you're not going to get every young person dancing and boogieing away. Yeah. Likewise, you're not going to get every young person sitting in a question and answer session. And so we want to try, for a small event, it's very difficult, but we want to try and offer lots of variation to meet young people where they're at, and hope that somewhere over the weekend we've ticked a few boxes.
Yeah. So I know that, the programme is packed. There's lots of options, suit lots of different young people, and I know that doesn't just happen. I said earlier that these events take all year. And I know that you've mentioned different people and teams and things like that, so I know that you don't do this. You've mentioned your minions and things like that. You don't just do this. I know that you have a great, fantastic team that you draw upon, who serve Kairos year after year as much as they can. Tell us a bit about you. This is the danger. Don't start mentioning names too much here, because somebody might get a bit upset if you miss them out and things like that. But generally, the type of person or the different teams that kind of happen from a practical point of view, because there might be people looking at this and watching and think, this sounds great, this sounds fantastic. I'm not involved in the youth group, I don't have a youth group, but do you know what? I love young people. I feel this is an area I could potentially serve with. And I'm interested in getting involved in someone. Now, clearly, because it's young people, and I know that you were, because like myself, are absolutely passionate to ensure the safety of young people, and so I know a lot of that safeguarding aspects and checks are done and things like that. So I know not just anybody can be involved. But like anything else, there are lots of volunteers who do lots of different jobs and things like that. So tell us a little bit about the team and the practical serving side of things around it.
So we have the core team, which is me and a few other people on the team that represent different churches and kind of different ages and different, I guess, outworkings of their faith in terms of, one's a minister, one's a youth worker, well, two are youth workers. Some of them are retired youth workers like me. But yeah, so there's a right mix of us that are the core team. And in essence, we just pull it together. We don't want to see ourselves as owning it or kind of dictating what happens, but behind any project, you've got to have people that pull it together, really.
True.
So I think we're the ones that kind of, bring all the people together that makes it happen. And so we have various teams. We've got an amazing catering team. We've got an activities team, a site and safety team. Like you say, this is where we end up forgetting some of our teams. And then, we've got people that come in terms of the worship team. We've got our tech team, which Dave heads up, don't you, Dave? And
help the aged. They even have space for an old person who can come and do something and help.
Yeah, we have space for a Zimmer frame right at the side as well. But yeah, and we are incredibly blessed by the team that we have. Some are able to give a huge amount of time. Some people can just give a bit of time, and we're grateful for any of that. So some people input a lot of stuff in the planning, on the running up to it. Some people just turn up for the weekend and kind of work their socks off over the weekend. And so we're always looking for people to serve on team. And, I don't think it's quite up on our website quite yet because we're not recruiting for this next year ahead yet. But there is a bit of a criteria around being on team in that sense. But that'll all be on there for next summer. But we also have what we call Kairos Prayer Warriors. And we've got a Facebook page for that. In fact, Anthony, who's on the call tonight, he's one of our incredible Kairos Prayer Warriors.
Yeah.
And in that group, we post kind of where we're wanting prayer for, the areas when we're making key decisions around theme or speakers, or who's going to lead worship or who's going to speak for various topics and things. We ask our Kairos warriors to pray into that and feedback if they feel God's saying anything. And also during the weekend, for the last kind of 2 years that we've been on site, we've run a 24-hour prayer tent in at the camp and in that Facebook group, and have updated kind of where people can pray and to be praying over the whole weekend, really. And we've seen, God's been so incredible and has blessed us massively. Just that things like, we've never had an accident really or anything like that, which is incredible thinking about that many young people running around a campsite. And it's just we value everyone on the team no matter what they can give, because we realize people come with different gifts and different abilities and different amount of hours, really. Some of us put a lot in, and it's different seasons as well. There'll be part of the year that we're a bit quieter than others. And a lot of us on the core team are busy people. We've got some of us got complex family lives. But we do what we can, and we know that God honours those that give what they've got, in a sense. So definitely, if there's people that are interested and think, well, I could. You don't always have to camp either. If you're great serving on a till, and we're always looking for people that can work a till, believe it or not. But things like that, some people can drive in and just help for half a day or whatever. Do get in touch on our Facebook page or our website. And likewise, if you're a youth worker and you're thinking this might be something we're interested in, one of us on the core team are happy to come and chat with you. We're happy to come and do like a promo event at your church, which can involve young people, or parents even, and give a flavour of other years. We're also happy to give free tickets away 1 year to young people and youth leaders to say, come and have a look, come and see what we're doing before you invest, because we know finances aren't easy. Come across, see what it's like, see if it's what you think young people would like. And maybe the next year you might choose to bring a group. But yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely. So you mentioned obviously on the website there are different opportunities to get involved with. Obviously events don't just happen. They need, like you say, lots of different people, either up front, behind, at the event. Prayer warriors who are not at the event but can still pray, absolutely key. And serve in lots of different ways. And I know there will be people who think I need to be involved in this in some way. So we'll put it in a moment. We'll talk just to kind of, because obviously, like anything else, time is pressing already. It just goes so quickly, and we could talk. I know I can talk forever. And so, before we get to the point of like the contact details, and you can talk about the best ways and things, and I'll put that on the screen so people can see. I've got down here in my notes. I put the word impact ? Because it sounds, and I know I totally subscribe to it. It is an amazing event, like Harvest before it. But and you've talked about the importance of the work that you do with youth groups. This is like, part of the picture for a youth group, in terms of their annual calendar and the things that they're doing in their home local church. Can you give me, maybe as an example, maybe one or two, whatever, of, the impact the event is having, maybe during the August bank holiday, when it's happening, what kind of impact is it having on young people, and in particular, because that's who it focuses on?
It is, yeah. I mean, I think the first year sticks out to me massively, because I think we had 30 young people the first year. And at the end of it, we'd done like fill a little form in to kind of say what you thought of camp. And in that, we had one youth worker who'd come, who was ready to just give up on God. She'd gone through a really difficult time in her life, and she'd come basically because she'd booked a young people on, and 6 months earlier, if you like. And she was completely blown away with how God had impacted that weekend. And actually, it transpires 3 months later, we discovered that God had actually healed her from cancer. Oh, wow, and she hadn't said at the weekend that she'd had this diagnosis, but she'd been prayed for, and 3 months later was completely healed of it. Wow. And that same weekend, we'd had 2 young people that we didn't know this when they came, but they're separate young people. Their parents had died within 2 weeks of coming to camp. Wow. And they were questioning whether God was even real. And obviously their youth leaders knew, their young people knew that were around them. And they're still involved in youth work and Christian, their faith in God is still extremely strong now. But they both kind of said how grateful they were that the young people had kind of dragged them away that weekend, because it was exactly where they needed to be that weekend. And, we don't take the credit for anything of what God does in that weekend. We just want to facilitate what God wants to do. But, what we've also found is that for our team members that come, is that some of them from year to year can often be wavering in their faith or really struggling. And they come because they come, I guess, sometimes out of a sense of duty, because they're like, this will be the right thing to do, which is a great and noble reason for coming. And sometimes the last thing they expect to do is to encounter God as well. Yeah. And we very much have a thing when you're serving on team at Kairos, is that if you want to just have some alone time with God, at any point you can step down from your duties, just let your team leader know. And, if you're meant to be watching a fire exit or serving in the cafe or whatever, we can get cover. We want them to encounter God as well. And the majority of our team flourish from kind of Kairos on for so long. And we've had, leaders who have been like, we're only just hanging on in our faith, or we're only just sticking in at church. And it's given them an incredible boost after camp. Yeah. And so I think for each person, whether young person, we have seen a good number of young people become Christians for the first time. And I guess for us, that's another reason why we wouldn't ever take young people without a youth leader, is because we can't be responsible for kind of discipling them throughout the year. They've got to have that outside of Kairos. And so, we want to facilitate youth leaders. And if youth leaders ever struggle, and I say the word youth leaders, sometimes these aren't youth leaders. Sometimes this is, a mum that's brought a group of young people together, or it's the kind of the vicar or the vicar's wife or husband, or, Brian, who gives out the hymn books on a Sunday, that has been safeguarded, checked, and just fills a minibus up and brings them. Because we often know for our smaller churches, they don't have the luxury of having paid youth workers. That's my background in terms of being a young person. And so we want to help, whoever's brought them to continue to disciple them. So we've seen huge impacts in that sense. And we've seen churches that have partnered together because they built up a relationship outside of Kairos for during the rest of the year, which is really special.
Absolutely.
Which is brilliant. So we just want to do what God's called us to do, really.
Amazing. And I just want to put this on screen that, Alan's just said, wow, that is an impact, and he put that on pretty early on from what you were saying, but, he could say that over and over again. It's clear that God does amazing stuff at Kairos as part of an ongoing, but the strength of partnership that you have as a team, and, in partnership with, obviously, the local church, how you serve the local church, in so many different ways. Look, it's such a special time, the event itself, but it's not just the stuff that happens at the event. It's all year round, really. And how you, like you said, I mean, that's a great highlight, that you're connecting youth groups and they're getting together and, in between times and stuff. But, going to Kairos, like going to Harvest, like going to any event, but I would say going to Kairos is such an amazing time. It's something that, young people and even the old people, get out so much of it, and God, I love the way that you said, because it's so true, that the team, are not disconnected from what God's doing. It's so important that they get so much out of it as well, that God does stuff through them as well. Listen, I'm going to put your contact details on screen. And so, just for this next part, really, you can see there, obviously we put the website on, and, obviously the social media tags and things, and an email address. But listen, there might be people now who think, I'm free this weekend almost. I've got some young people, how can I come along? Is it too late? Or I'm going to at least pray. What do I need to pray about? I want to be in that Facebook group that you mentioned about prayer warriors. Is there a way that I can practically serve somehow? I know it's online and stuff this year, but how can people come along, get involved, whatever?
Yeah, so like Dave said, our website's on there, which says a bit about this year. And we're on Facebook, Kairos Christian Youth Camp, and we're on Instagram, and also our email address is there. So do get in touch anyway. In terms of for this year, there'll be four teaching videos will be going out on the Facebook page. So you can watch them. We're putting together boxes right now, which are going out to young people tomorrow, that are kind of pre-signed up for them. But alongside of that, we've done a leader's guide. So the idea is they can use those 4 videos over 4 sessions as youth groups come back together in kind of September, October time. And our incredible Dan Holland, who is also a youth worker, has put together a youth leaders kind of guide that goes with that, and we've got some journals for the young people to help them unpack some of those talks a little bit more. So it's not too late if you're a youth leader and you're thinking, would be interested in getting hands on one of these young people's youth leaders things, then let us know. We can email that across to you. We can send you some of the journals. We've got plenty left, and it's something you could do with your group kind of any time really through this next year. It doesn't need to be this weekend. We are putting stuff out this weekend, but it can be done at any point in the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Again, it's just, testament to the quality of the team that, your focus isn't just this weekend. You know, it's stuff that can be picked up and used anytime, and so on. So listen, you know, if you're watching this and you think I love this, then, you know, get in touch with Ray. You can comment on Brace, you know, page if you want to, but, you know, have a search on Facebook, etc., on the social media channels for Kairos Youth Camp, and, you know, obviously get in touch that way. Follow what they're doing. You know, if nothing else, pray. You know, and you know, keep yourself up to date with, you know, the physical camp that's happening next year, and well, wherever it may be. But, you know, like you say, we've still got this event. I say we because I'm part, you know, I serve in a small way, but, you know, support the team. You know, they are quality people, and who, you know, do so many different things, and they're having such a big impact on young people's lives, by facilitating. That was the word that you used earlier on, to facilitating what God's doing, you know, and you know, we co-labor with God, and you know, and you're amazing people, you really are, and you kind of head up along with Matt and many of the other team, a wonderful group of people. So bless you. Listen, time's ran out really, and we could talk about so much more and stuff, but I think we've packed an awful lot in there. And you know, what I haven't done actually at this point is to you know, order my meal, because it looks like you're McDonald's kind of staff, and, you know, so you know, I'll have a chicken nuggets Happy Meal or whatever, and stuff. But, you know, thank you so much, Ray, for spending the, you know, this hour or so with us, and giving up your evening. And I know you're busy preparing. You talked about your minions and things, but, you know, I know you said it got you out of it, but it won't have done, because it's just there in the background ready, and you'll be cracking on late at night and burning the midnight oil and all that kind of stuff, along with many others.
You know me well.
Yeah. So listen, people, get in touch with Ray. Find out, have a search, look at the website, keep yourself, you know, up to date, pray, and, you know, there might be other ways as well that you know, because you felt to make a financial donation and things, and that wasn't the motivation of tonight. But, you know, listen, these events, they don't just happen, they do cost money. If you could help, I'm sure Ray and the team would really appreciate that, because, again, it's not something that they, you know, squirrel away and have a nice staff party at Christmas. No, every bit goes on the young people. That's who that motivates them. You can tell that, and that's what it's for. So, you know, bless your Ray, bless your team. You know, obviously praying this weekend that everybody has an amazing time online, and, you know, when things are allowed and we want to be safe in doing that, you know, looking forward to, hopefully, all being well, a physical event next year, and stuff like that. All right. Bless
Brilliant.
you.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. So we will be having another leaders session next Wednesday night. You know, obviously, please, if you want to know more, I'm just going to go across here now. If you want to know more about Embrace Church, obviously that I'm part of, but, you know, again, the bigger picture, you know, I can put you in touch with many people. You can, you know, you like us on our, you know, kind of social media channels, and I'll just flash them across the screen. This video will be available on our YouTube channel. I'll upload that tomorrow, and you can, you know, get in touch with it in lots of different ways. So if you want to know more about Kairos, you want to know more about Embrace Church, or just, you know, this whole Jesus thing, you know, then please just get in touch. All right. Bless you. See you next week, 8 o'clock on Wednesday.